I'm here with Tennessee Congressman Mark Green, who is the chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So, of course, I have to ask, following Saturday's assassination attempt on President Trump, your committee has announced a hearing. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, well, we've spoken to the FBI. We've spoken to, of course, Director of Secret Service. I've had phone calls with those guys, phone calls with people on the ground there. But we need to get these individuals in front of America. I mean, America wants to know that transparency is happening. They want to know what happened and where the failures are, and they want people held accountable. I mean, this should never happen. And so we announced or sent a request to Director Wray, Secretary Mayorkas, and of course Director Cheadle. We'll see what happens. We haven't gotten our responses yet, but we are ready to go with the subpoenas if they don't.
Yeah. A lot of people are calling into question how DEI policies, how that could have affected all of this.
Yeah.
And even Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle, she said that she was focused, once she got the position, she was focused on hiring women and so forth. When you hear that sort of message, what comes to your mind and how do we fix that?
Yeah, so this idea that, that equity puts a 5'5" female shielding a 6'5" president is just absurd, right? I mean, and people have to ask themselves, their daughter is a company commander in the 82nd Airborne Division. Do you want her battalion commander to be the person who got the job because of some equity thing, or do you want them to be the very best? Your daughter's going to be in combat. Do you want her leader to be the very best, or a DEI, selection? And that's what, in situations like this, you need somebody who can shield the president. I mean, that's a no-brainer. And so, yeah, we're absolutely going to be putting that on trial, too.
And it brings me to my next question, because as we know, the Supreme Court struck down affirmative action. And now President Biden, he's announced that he wants ethics in the Supreme Court in term limits. He's been proposing that. What's your take there, especially since Democrats are campaigning on the message of, well, look at what the Supreme Court did these past couple of years. What's your take?
Sure. For those guys, they don't seem to care about the Constitution. I mean, that's why Alejandro Mayorkas can just blow off Congress's laws and do whatever he wants to on the border. I mean, they don't have a respect for the Constitution, the separation of powers. The Supreme Court is a separate, equal branch of government, and they have to respect its decisions, and they don't like them. And so they want to change the court. They want to either stack the court or, create term limits so they get to pick more people than the process that's been in place, since we've been a country. For the left, it's all about power. I mean, you look at the way they've opened the border, all of that, it's just simply about their own power. D.C. statehood. I mean, clearly, the push for that is to get 2 more Democrat senators. I mean, they're not asking for any of the other territories that might put, Republican senators in place. So that's what this is about. That's what Joe Biden means when he talks about that, power.
And I want to talk about today's theme, Make America Strong Again. Of course, national security on the line, whether it's from the illegal immigration or foreign policy decisions. I want to ask, though, because we're seeing after the debate performance, the first debate between President Trump and President Biden, again, cognitive decline, mental acuity.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a physician.
Exactly. As a physician,
cognitive decline.
Yeah. So, especially, how does that play into national security when you have President Biden being defiant of, I'm not going to drop out, but then you're hearing more Democrats saying he should pass on the torch. We just heard of Representative Adam Schiff.
So those guys are all bailing on here because they don't want to lose, right? I mean, Joe Biden's performance the other night, he's had many gaffes like this where he's walked off the stage in the wrong direction. This has been going on for some time. Now that it looks like it's going to cost them the election, the Democrats are like, oh, we got to change our quarterback, right? But they didn't seem to care about his performance before when he was in Vietnam at that conference, and I mean, look, he shouldn't be the commander-in-chief. When you talk about showing power on the world stage, it's not just the capabilities of the military, it's also the willpower of the decision maker. And can the commander-in-chief command, right? And clearly this guy cannot.
Yeah. And of course, a lot of attention being focused on the presidential election, but we can't forget that there's elections in Congress, the Senate, and the House. Are you confident that Republicans will be able to maintain majority or expand their control of the House, because it's so slim? You're chairman right now of the Homeland Security Committee. How's your campaigning going?
Well, we're working really hard. We got a great team in the field, and I'm in the district when I can. The challenge for me as chairman, now this weekend I'm spending a lot of time doing those kinds of things. We did the Mayorkas impeachment. It's tough to be a committee chairman and be back home in your district, but I'm doing everything that I can. Obviously, we're doing what we have to do to raise money and things like that. But we feel, again, I know I'm the best person for the job relative to my opponent, and so we feel like the people of Tennessee will pick the right person. Absolutely. And lastly, I have to ask, how's your RNC experience been, and what are you looking forward to now? Well, I just got in today, honestly, because I've been working on the investigation. I was in D.C. last night talking to people, so I'm sure it'll be just like all the others. I love the RNC. It's a blast, like-minded, like-hearted people together talking and having fun too, breaking bread. It's a great time. Again, Tennessee Congressman Mark Green, who's also the chairman of the Homeland Security Committee. Thank you so much again for your time. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
For all our viewers asking where One America News is heading in the future, we would like to introduce you to OAN Live. OAN Live is the best way to stay up to date on all of the hard-hitting, straight-shooting, national and international headlines. And the best part is, OAN Live is only $4.99 per month. All the credible, honest, unbiased reporting One America News offers at a fraction of the cost of cable. Just go to OANN.com to easily sign up for OAN Live and stay informed.